The boil order in the city of Jasper is now over. What officials say you need to do to ensure the safety of your water. Plus, this past weekend's Ferdinand Folk Festival had a bit of a royal air to it. And Patty Gepfrich and Diane Hoppenjans talk about the German Heritage Dinner tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. Well, unemployment figures for August have now been released and Du Bois County once again fared well. Numbers released this afternoon by the Indiana Department of Workforce Development show that the county once again led the way for lowest unemployment. The August rate was at 3.7%, down 0.2 from July's number. The county's lead over second-place Hamilton County maintained a gap of 0.3%. Among other counties, Davies County is tied for the fourth lowest unemployment rate in the state at 4.1%. Martin County's rate is at 4.5%. Warwick County at 4.6%. Spencer County is at 4.7%. Pike County 5%. Perry 5.4%. Orange 5.7%. And Crawford County at 6.2%. Now, Lake County had Indiana's highest unemployment rate in August. That number came in at 7.7%. Statewide, Indiana's unemployment rate was at 5.5% in August. That's down 0.1 from July. The state has now seen a 1.7% decrease in its unemployment rate over the past year alone. That's one of the largest in the U.S. In that same time frame, Indiana has seen an increase of more than 51,000 workers in its labor force. That's also one of the biggest increases nationwide. In other news this evening, the Jasper Police and Fire Departments are continuing to look into a fire they say was intentionally started over the weekend. Authorities say the fire was set underneath an outbuilding owned by Luda Beckman in the 4300 block of Badenstrasse early Saturday. The fire was discovered at about 1:30 that morning. Authorities say the suspect or suspects started the fire underneath the back corner of the building. They say damage to the building and its contents was estimated at around $3,000. Jasper Police and the Community Strike Force are now offering a $1,000 reward for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for this blaze. If you have any information on what happened, you are asked to call the Jasper Police Department at 482-2255 or the anonymous tip line at 481-COPS. Du Bois Strong now has new leadership. This morning, the organization announced that D. Edward Cole will serve as the next president. Cole comes to Du Bois Strong following a stint as a regional development specialist for the Oklahoma Department of Commerce. In that role, Cole focused on business retention and expansion, workforce development, and regional collaboration, among other roles. He also worked on developing the I-40 West Corridor, which the organization says will allow him to work towards improving the transportation infrastructure here in Du Bois County. Du Bois Strong Board President Dr. Alan Johnson says Cole's hiring marks a positive ending to what was a tough process.
It's been a long process. These kinds of things, when you're looking for whether it's an employee on the line or an executive level position, can be very frustrating and time consuming. But you want to do it right, and you want to make sure you get the right person in the role. And we believe with Ed Cole, we've done that this time.
Johnson says with a leader now in place, the organization can begin to move forward with several of its goals.
Ed coming in, of course, is going to start getting out and getting to know people. He'll spend a lot of time out and around the county to meet the people, understand their needs. We're going to be organizing a housing committee to begin looking at that issue of moderately priced housing in the community. We're going to be doing some entrepreneurship kind of initiatives as well. And then he needs to get out and start meeting the companies and understanding what their needs are.
A native of Perrysville, Indiana, Cole served as executive director of the Vermilion County Economic Development Council prior to moving to Oklahoma. In Vermilion County, he worked to facilitate the sale of a 50,000 square foot speculative building. He also developed an industrial park for the county and coordinated a two-state partnership for it, along with successfully implementing tax increment financing districts in the county to maintain its industrial infrastructure. Cole is set to start his new job on October 20th. Well, the City of Jasper's boil order was finally lifted after 5 long days. Jasper Water Manager Ernie Hinkle says yesterday's second round of testing found that the water was safe enough to drink. Now, that test marked the second successful one in 48 hours, thus allowing for the boil order to be lifted under Indiana Department of Environmental Management standards yesterday afternoon. Folks are still being asked to flush the water in their homes by running faucets, showers, and other water supplies like laundry machines and dishwashers for several minutes or cycles prior to using. They say that procedure will clear the water and bring in water that is safe to use. Further questions about the matter should be directed to the Jasper Water Department. That number is 482-5252. Now, the boil order was originally issued last Wednesday morning following concerns over the amount of the mineral manganese that was in the water coming out of the Patoka River. The river serves as the city's main water source. Royalty for the upcoming Huntingburg Herbstfest has now been announced. The Herbstfest Queen pageant took place last night at the Southridge High School Auditorium. 17-year-old Ryan Hill will be this year's Herbstfest Queen. She is the daughter of Amber Hill of Huntingburg and Warren and Jackie Hill of Evansville. Hill was also named as Miss Photogenic. 17-year-old Nikki Fisher took home first runner-up. This year's second runner-up is 19-year-old Jamie Lindauer. This year's Huntingburg Herbstfest gets underway Thursday evening at Huntingburg City Park. The fest runs through the parade on Sunday. Now, you can watch last night's Queen pageant here on 18 WJTS in its entirety. The pageant will air at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time next Thursday, October 2nd. It will then re-air at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, October 5th. Indiana State Police are once again teaming up with the Drug Enforcement Administration for National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. The 8th edition of this event is set to take place this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Jasper and Evansville State Police posts will be among those participating. Now, State Police say this event is one of the few opportunities folks have each year to drop off any unwanted, expired, or unused prescription medicines without having to wonder about whether or not they will be accepted. State Police also say controlled substances like ADHD drugs will be among those that will be accepted. New or used needles will not be taken at the event. This collection is aimed at liquid and pill medications only. State Police say past drug collection events have been very successful. More than 324 tons of prescription medications were collected nationwide last October alone. Folks can drop off their prescription drugs for disposal at either the Jasper or Evansville posts between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Saturday as mentioned. Here in DuBois County, additional collection sites will be at the Huntingburg and Ferdinand fire stations. Those two sites will be open between 10 a.m. and noon. The Ferdinand Folk Fest was once again a big draw, and some international royalty even took notice. Saturday's event marked the second trip to Ferdinand for Austrian Archduke Marcus Salvator von Habsburg-Lothringen and his wife Archduchess Hildegard. The Archduke previously was in town for the 2003 Herbstfest. Count Ferdinand Otto Graf von Seefried and his wife Dr. Monique Seefried also came along. This marked the Seefrieds' first trip to Ferdinand. The royals arrived in Ferdinand late Saturday afternoon after spending a couple of days in Indianapolis. They began their local festivities by planting a tree at the recently restored Wollenman House. Archduke Marcus was one of those who wrote letters to the state in support of getting grant money for the house's restoration. Archduke Marcus says it was great to be back in Ferdinand. He also says there are a few similarities to his home in Austria.
Well, it is a bit different than home, but of course it is not alpine here, but it has some mountain, low mountain ranges, and it is a nice area.
The group also toured the Wollenman House. They even took time to toast some champagne before heading over to 18th Street Park. Now, the royals were introduced in style at the Folk Fest Saturday evening. The introduction included music from the Forest Park High School Marching Rangers and a brief speech from Ferdinand Town Council President Ken Seacard. A special mass in German also was part of the weekend. That mass took place at 9:30 yesterday morning at St. Ferdinand Catholic Church. It was led by Father John Beglin of Holy Family Catholic Church in Jasper and German-born deacon James King. Finally this evening, Indiana State Police are now switching to an online gun permitting system that will bring end to the use of paper applications for those permits. The new system that starts October 1st will also signal a change to hard plastic cards for firearms permits, rather than the paper permits that are currently issued to gun owners. Now, State Police Major Mike White says the new electronic application system is designed to streamline the application process for applicants and for law enforcement agencies. Firearms permits already issued and people holding firearms permits will not be affected. They will switch to the electronic version when their permit expires if they don't have a lifetime permit. For more information, you can go online to in.gov/ISP and click on Firearms Licensing. All right, coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform with Patty Getfrich and Diane Hopenjans. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.